George, and I'm an assistant professor here at the University of Utah, and today I'll be talking about our research which focuses on recreating the human hand. But before I do that, and before I start talking about the research, I'd like to take a minute to just reflect on how important our hands are in our daily lives. So imagine you've just woken up in the hospital to find out that both of your hands have been amputated. How do you go about your daily life? How do you hold a fork to feed yourself? How do you tie your shoe in the morning? How do you play catch with your son or your daughter? And importantly, how do you hold hands or feel the world around you, hold hands with a loved one? So the question is about how do you feel physically, the world that's around you, but also emotionally as a whole individual. As put by one of the amputees that we worked with, losing a limb is like losing a family member, except you're reminded of it every single day. In the United States alone, 1.6 million individuals suffer from limb loss. That's nearly 1 in every 200 people. The disabilities with limb loss are not just functional, like dexterity, but it's also emotional and psychologically challenging. Many of these individuals suffer from chronic pain and depression. The current standard of care is poor, and as a result, nearly half of amputees actually abandon their prostheses and never even use them. If you had an amputation today, you'd most likely be given this, which is a bodied power hook. This device is, no joke, the same technology we've been using since the American Civil War. Alternatively, you could have a cosmetic hand, which might look a little nicer, but it provides zero functionality. And then more recently, we have these multi-articulate bionic arms that have entered the market that are actually capable of recreating all of the different movements of the human hand. But controlling a bionic arm like this is not an easy or an intuitive task. Clinically, the way that you would do it is you'd put tilt sensors on your feet so that as you tap through your left foot, you can move different grip patterns on your hand, and then you use your right foot to actually make those movements happen. And so, yes, that actually means that you cannot walk around and use your hands at the same time. So what if we could control an advanced bionic arm like this simply with our thoughts? It might sound kind of crazy, but it's really not if you think about the fact that every single day we're controlling our hands with our thoughts naturally. So what normally would happen is as you're thinking about moving your hand, information starts in your brain as electrical activity, and then it transmits down from your brain through your nerves to your muscles, which then activate your tendons and move your arm around and actually make your movements happen. So what if we could tap into those electrical signals and that biological pathway that already exists and use that as an intuitive and dexterous control signal for these robotic arms? Well, that's exactly what we've been doing. So we've partnered with two spin-off companies from the University of Utah who build medical implantable devices. So this one actually gets implanted into the arm nerves. We have another device that we implant into the muscles of the individual. From there, when that person thinks about an action, such as grabbing a grape, information starts in their brain and then transmits down to their periphery, to their muscles and their nerves, where we can record that information and then use artificial intelligence to translate it into intuitive and dexterous movement. So truly, when you think about moving your hand, it would just happen naturally, seamlessly. But what's even better than that is we can use this exact same system to also restore a sense of touch to an individual. So in this case, when that mechanical hand makes contact with an object, we can record forces that come on the tips of the fingers. We can then convert those forces into stimulation parameters, electrical stimulation, that sends information back up the nerves to the brain so that the person actually perceives a sensation as if it was coming from their missing hand. And then the really cool part is when we tie those two components together. And what we see is that your motor actions actually influence your sensory perception. And your sensory feedback also guides your motor control. And ultimately, using this type of closed-loop control system, what we see is that we can replace the bionic hand with something that the user perceives more like their own hand. So far, we've been able to use this device and demonstrate a variety of different improvements. So it's viable long-term over many years. It's able to improve dexterity and allow you to do very dexterous tasks. And on top of that, it can actually reduce chronic pain while you're using it. But most importantly is that it invokes this sense of what we call embodiment, which means that the prosthetic hand actually starts to become incorporated into your body image so that it's no longer just a tool, but it starts to be something that you would consider your own hand. So to demonstrate what embodiment's like, I'd like to show a video in which we had a participant with this device using a virtual hand, controlling a virtual hand to interact with a virtual door. And so in this video, the person is thinking about controlling their hand, and the hand is moving. And when that hand makes contact with an object, they can feel sensations coming back to them. And they felt these sensations before, and they've actually controlled this hand before. But this is the first time doing those two together in unison. So what you'll see is that the combination of motor control and sensory feedback actually creates a completely different experience than ever before. Suddenly they embody the prosthetic, and it becomes alive. And so they are able to feel again for the first time in 24 years.
Is it causing it to do that?
Maybe.
Oh my God, I just felt that door. Oh yeah.
Can you feel the fingers sliding when you do that?
Yeah, actually I can. I can get it on there. God, that is so cool.
So I'll show another video where a participant was controlling a 3D printed prosthetic hand. And in this case, the same concept. They're thinking about moving the hand moves. When they touch the hand, they can get a sensation coming back. And so at the end of the experiment, we asked the participant if there was anything that they wanted to do. And they responded by saying, I want to clasp my hands together.
Is there anything you want to grasp that you see?
I want to clasp my hands.
You can clasp your hands together if you want. Go ahead.
And so again, his choice of words here is important. He says, I want to clasp my hands together. He doesn't say, I want to touch the prosthetic hand, but I want to clasp my hands together. That the fact that the prosthetic hand is now starting to be almost equivalent in some ways to his intact, healthy hand. And if there's anything better than feeling your own hand again for the first time, it's feeling the touch of a loved one. And so pictured here was one of the participants' first opportunities to hold hands with his wife and feel her touch once again. So in summary, what we've seen is that it's not just about that sense of touch, and it's not just about the dexterity of the prosthetic hand, but it's the combination of the two, which creates the sense of embodiment and the ability to feel whole again. So moving forward, we're working on taking this system and moving it towards clinical trials. So I'm excited to say that we recently got FDA approval to do a take-home study where we can take this device home. And so in this video, I'm actually following the person around their house and filming them as they're using this system in their home. And they're going about their normal activities of daily living with this newfound dexterity. And I'd like to point out in specific, the continual surprise and enjoyment they have as they're doing relatively simple tasks that some of us might even consider mundane. But it kind of goes to show how important and impactful this technology really can be.
Thank you, baby. Thank you. Ah! And it didn't hit the floor. Thank you. Good girl. I could do this, it'd be a miracle. Hey, honey.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to lock the door from the outside because I can't.
Okay.
I can't do that. I can't do that with the island for sure. I can't lock it because I can't pull it.
So in summary, this type of device that we're providing, we ultimately hope that continuous use of this over multiple years in a take-home setting will ultimately provide a unified solution for a variety of different ailments associated with limb loss. And as put by one of our participants, soon it will be just like Luke Skywalker, and then everyone will want one. And yes, we're actually working on exactly that. We're developing a type of technology that can record electrical activity from your arm using a smartwatch that could then translate your intention into control of smart devices. So yes, each and every one of you here can soon be a Jedi Master, able to control things in your house simply by thought. So ultimately, we envision, your Apple Watch could help you telepathically control your lights or your TV channels. But who will this technology really benefit the most? It's probably not you or me. Instead, it's probably the millions of individuals who are suffering from life-altering neuromuscular disabilities. So at the Craig H. Nielsen Hospital, we treat a variety of different people, not just patients with limb loss, but also patients suffering from stroke, spinal cord injury, or even traumatic brain injury. And for these individuals, they're receiving cutting-edge technology in this hospital. And in particular, there's smart home technology all throughout the rooms. So you can actually use a phone or a tablet in the hospital room to control the lights, the blinds, or even call for a nurse. And what we envision is that this type of technology could be used so that individuals who have paralysis, who can't move their body, could still interact with their environment in a seamless way. And so we were fortunate to test this technology with an individual who had a spinal cord injury, who actually couldn't move anything below their neck. And this is what they had to say.
I'm more excited about this than, honestly, anything that's happened since I broke my neck. I mean, 10 degrees of freedom, I could just imagine anything that I can control this.
Ultimately, the possibilities with this technology truly are endless. Things that used to be considered science fiction, like Luke Skywalker's bionic arm, are now very much becoming a reality. With that, I'd like to thank the many individuals who have played an important role in developing this technology, including all of the funding agencies that have supported us, as well as our industry partners. And most importantly, I'd like to thank all the donors who have played an important role in making this research possible. And thank you all so much for listening.